The local Highwoods team has over 24 years of development experience in the Richmond area. In addition to its role as master developer, we anticipate investing in the development of the office buildings planned for both projects. We have considerable experience in developing and managing Class A office properties and currently own 19.4 million square feet of office space, including over 2.6 million square feet here in Richmond. Most of which, by the way, I have developed either in my prior company or with Highwoods. Joining the Highwoods team for both projects as master planner is CMSS Architects. Burl Saunders and his firm are preeminent designers of town centers and urban communities. In Richmond, you probably know them for Rockets Landing. But also, two nearby examples are the Virginia Beach Town Center in Virginia Beach and the Oyster Point City Center in Newport News. Also engaged in a master civil engineering role is the Timmons Group, who are also well known in our region for their expertise. Highwoods is interested in developing office buildings in both projects, but there are many other uses to be included in the Boulevard Gateway to be developed and owned by others. The Robert Bob Group, in conjunction with Armada Hoffler, also submitted a proposal for retail development on this site. Our intention is to work with Robert Bob's group so that they can develop and own many of the non-residential properties that form this project. This will be a meaningful relationship and allowing us to closely collaborate throughout the process. What you see before you is the 65 acres that Mr. Kern showed you earlier, turned 180 degrees, with a site plan for the development of the property. As you can see, it takes in all of the area along Broad Street and Hermitage from basically the interstate down to the railroad tracks. What you see is a town center concept of development looking to redevelop this entire track with a whole new development. We believe this will be a catalyst for other development in the areas around, including Scott's Addition. Included in this development is a conference center hotel located up along the interstate. 600,000 square feet of office space, predominantly 4- and 5-story office buildings, with the ability to create what I would call an iconic structure in the middle of the site, depending on our success in developing this area and marketing it for tenants. This could be a kind of a midtown office location, if you will, between the downtown and the suburban West End. We have 4 parking decks built into the project to support a more urban and less suburban development concept. Retail uses on the ground floor of the office buildings as well as retail buildings on their own. Approximately 250,000 square feet of what I call convenience retail, that is not big box, but more of a mid-box kind of development that would allow us to build more of a community within the town center. And we have 450 condominiums and 400 apartments scheduled for it as well. We're looking at approximately $336 million of commercial development, the 4 parking decks, and at this point, we are unsure what the cost of relocating the various community assets there. That is part of what we will be talking about over the next 4 months as we engage the community and the administration in a discussion of how we take advantage of this opportunity to relocate these facilities and find better homes for them. Just to give you an idea of what it might look like, this is a view from over Interstate 95 looking generally southward along Boulevard on the right and Hermitage Road on the left. And so you see up in the foreground, the concept of a hotel, a main street going through the property with plaza, retail facing it, office, and in the back, residential development. We believe this is a very good approach to discussing how we could unlock the economic potential of this property. Of course, we'll have to go through the community process, through the zoning process to do it. And it is dependent upon what happens with those community assets that are there, in particular the diamond. So let me move on to the next piece, which is Shockoe Center. As I said in my opening remarks, we're beginning a community conversation about transforming a long-neglected part of our downtown into a catalyst for economic development. So before anybody commits any uninformed, knee-jerk reaction type comments, let's talk about some facts. Number one, we are not asking for any immediate decisions. There's enough time in our process to work with the new mayor and the new council to fully discuss the opportunities and challenges contained in our proposal. Number two, we're looking for an honest dialogue within the community. There's enough time built into the process to examine the many issues involved and deal with them appropriately. Our goal is to foster consensus, not division. Number three, we understand the architectural, cultural, and historic concerns that go with any conversation about developing in Shockoe Bottom. We will be fully engaged in designing a development that respects those concerns. We'll be building in architectural harmony with our surroundings. We're honoring the cultural heritage through a proposed museum, and we're respecting our neighbors to the east with low-rise buildings next to them. Number four, these are uncertain economic times, but it is the right time to begin looking into the future and planning for it while we have the time to engage in these conversations. Indeed, planning now will help us be ready for the time when we can successfully finance these projects. Number five, this is an economic development proposal, but we will inevitably spend most of our time talking about only one thing: baseball. So, let's talk about it. How are we going to pay for a new ballpark? Well, unlike redeploying the diamond, which would be at full taxpayer expense, our plan is to primarily use revenues from within Shockoe Center only to pay for a new ballpark. Our goal is to eliminate or marginalize the need for taxpayer support. To do this requires significant collateral on-site economic development. That's why it really is all about economic development, even though we'll spend most of our time talking about baseball.